So let's talk about one of the most fraught and contentious issues that arise in child custody cases, and that is child support. If you're going through a divorce involving children, or if you are going through a child custody suit with the mother or the father of a child, but you're not married to that person, then somebody is going to have to pay child support. Under the law, both parents have a duty to support their children, but generally only one party is ordered to actually pay the other child support. And typically, it's the parent who has less possession time with the child. So how is child support calculated in the state of Texas? The Family Code sets forth what we refer to as guidelines. You may hear a lawyer refer to, quote, guideline child support. And those are the guidelines that are set forth in the Family Code, which say, for example, that if you have one child, then you're obligated to pay 20% of your net monthly income towards child support. If you have 2 children, it's 25%. If you have 3 children, it's 30%. I believe it caps off at 40%. In most cases, calculating child support is relatively straightforward. If you are a paycheck employee, you're not self-employed, you're getting a paycheck from your employer, then child support is essentially, if you have one child, 20% of your after-tax income. If you're self-employed, or you have a job where your income fluctuates and is variable from year to year, then calculating child support is not always as straightforward. We have to take a little more of a nuanced approach. So if your income is variable, then the court may average the most 2 to 3 recent years of income based on your W-2s or your K-1s or your tax returns. Whatever information you have demonstrating your income, the court will rely on that to determine what the appropriate calculation is going to be. How long are you obligated to pay child support? Well, you're obligated to pay until the child turns 18 or graduates from high school, whichever occurs later. Some kids obviously turn 18 during their senior year, but before they graduate from high school. In a scenario like that, your child support obligation is going to continue until the child completes high school. Are there any other factors aside from your income that the court looks at in calculating child support? Or a related question, can the court order you to pay child support above the guidelines? The answer to both questions is yes. Yes, the court can look at other factors. The court can consider how much money the obligee, the person who's receiving the child support, the court can factor in that person's earnings as well, although courts don't generally do that. The court can also order the obligor, the person paying the child support, to pay what we refer to as above guideline child support. And that typically occurs in scenarios where the obligor is earning money in excess of what the cap is on the guideline support. So the guideline support, the 20%, is applied to the first $9,200 of net monthly income, which currently means that the maximum amount of monthly child support you would pay for one child is $1,840. But if you make beyond that $9,200 a month, and the person, usually it's mom, who's asking for you to pay child support can demonstrate that the children's proven monthly needs, meaning the needs that are attributable to the child, not the needs of the mother, exceed $1,840, then the court could conceivably order you to pay more than that. It rarely happens. In most cases that I've been involved in, even when we're dealing with a high-income obligor, the court doesn't go beyond the guidelines, but the law does allow for it. And if the other side can put on sufficient evidence demonstrating that the needs of the children exceed the $1,840 or whatever the guideline max is, then you could be obligated to pay more. Finally, can child support be modified? The answer is yes. So if you go through a divorce or a child custody dispute, you get to the end, the judge orders you to pay X amount in child support. An order is going to be entered obligating you to pay that amount. But circumstances may change down the road. You may lose your job. You may get a job that pays you significantly more. Your child may start participating in extracurricular activities that are expensive, or the child's needs may develop and change over the years and become more expensive, as children often do. In those circumstances, either side can petition the court to modify the child support obligation, and the court can accordingly modify your support upward or downward. Another change in circumstance that we often see is child may want to go live with the other parent in which case the child support obligation may be flipped. But in order for these changes to take effect, you have to file a modification suit, which is another lawsuit, a new lawsuit, that you have to file in the court that originally entered your order and put on evidence and potentially have a trial if you and your ex-spouse can't agree on what the modified child support is going to be.